Hi, I'm Karin Ridges, and this is Why Go Vegan. And I am so excited to be joined by the wonderful Charlotte Roy. Now, Charlotte was the first vegan to reach the quarterfinals of MasterChef UK. She has worked at some brilliant restaurants, including Gautier Soho. She now works at Plates, which is the only Michelin-starred plant-based restaurant in the UK. She runs supper clubs and classes and pop-ups. So we're very lucky to get some time with Charlotte. And on top of that, she's a really lovely lady. So welcome, Charlotte, our star chef, to the show. It's really lovely to chat with you. So I'm going to ask you some questions. So shall we get into it?
Let's go. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So look, you're vegan, and I want to know, why did you go vegan?
Well, I started out vegetarian, so it was about 6 years ago, and I didn't have that one moment that some people do have where it's like overnight. So I sort of slowly started shuffling towards being vegan. But there are two very specific reasons why I eventually went vegan. One was I really started thinking about how illogical it was that I was causing cruelty to animals by consuming animal products, but I didn't have to. And more than that, I could get amazing nutrients and health beneficial stuff into my diet by eating more plants. So it made sense for the animals, it made sense for me, and the planet impact is a nice sort of side hustle, I always say. So that was one reason, and the other was the chicks, the eggs. Eggs was one of the things that hung around with me for a long time. I carried on eating eggs. And then I saw something one day which explains that male baby chicks, one of the most adorable creatures in the world, those little cheeping chicks, they're not useful to the egg industry. So they just get ground up or gassed. Like they just go on a conveyor belt and they get ground down. And that, even when I say it, I feel really emotional. Like, how can we do that to those beautiful creatures? And you see them, they're just chirping on the conveyor belt, and it just made me cry when I saw it. And I was like, after that, I don't need eggs. A, they're full of cholesterol anyway, and B, I really don't want to contribute to something that does that to these beautiful, innocent little creatures.
I've seen video clips, we all have, haven't we now? And probably like you, I just thought, why hasn't anyone told me this?
Yeah.
Why did I not know this?
Yeah.
It's hidden away, isn't it? So you went vegan how many years ago, Charlotte?
It's coming up to about 6 years now.
Yeah. So it's still fairly fresh. You've been, vegan for quite some time, obviously a wonderful chef. Can I ask you what challenges you may have faced when you first went vegan? Because a lot of our viewers, they're starting on this path and they may be faced with the same challenges.
Yes, a really good question. I mean, some of the challenges I still face today. Where do you get your protein from? Is a question that I am asked regularly. No one was interested in it before, but suddenly now everyone is. I think I just didn't really know what to do with food. And I talk mainly around veganism about food because that's primarily people's routine. There's all sorts of obviously beauty products and other products that we use that we need to think about whether or not they're vegan. But with food, it's very easy to have a chicken breast and just put it down with some vegetables and a sauce, and you've got dinner. And you do have to be more creative when you're eating just plant-based food. So thinking about how I make stuff delicious and indulgent without the animal products. And I still think like a meat eater. So I'm still looking for, how do I get that umami? How do I get the richness? How do I feel like I'm not missing out, but also I'm taking stuff in that's amazing for me? I read a really brilliant quote the other day that has stuck with me. And it's, every time you eat something, you can either be taking the best form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. And that has really stuck with me. And that's,
I love that.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Plant-based food is the best form of medicine. And I'm a psychotherapist as well, so I'm really interested in the food and how it relates to our mental health and our physical health. And some of the things that you consume when you're on a plant-based diet or when you're vegan, are so good for you. So yeah, that was, I think, thinking about food was a challenge. knowing what I could and couldn't eat, like the labels, and I'm in my 40s, so reading labels in supermarkets is not as easy as it used to be.
Those labels smaller and smaller, don't they? Why?
I'm out there with my cat with my phone taking a picture and then widening it now. And I think, just working out how not to be annoying to friends and family as well, because you become very passionate about it. So you have to kind of rein yourself in and think, okay, how do I just talk about it in a really non-judgmental way? And for me, veganism is about the food system and not the individuals. We're part of a system that is engineered to force us and encourage us to eat animal products. And if we can start doing away with the system, we'll all be better off.
I love that, Charlotte. And it makes me feel that we should all be the vegan that we wish that we had met when we first went vegan.
Yeah.
I love that. You've got to tell me about MasterChef now. Probably the highest profile food show, isn't it, in the UK?
Yeah.
And there you are, doing your stuff. How did you find it? How did the other contestants find it? How did they feel about a vegan chef?
Great questions. How did I find it? I started off not on the best foot because I chopped the tip of my finger off, as I think you know. So that was my first day on MasterChef. Not ideal. I had to go to A&E. I was there for 6 hours. It was still bleeding by the time I got seen to. Not great. John Torode found the tip of my finger on my chopping board. That's a moment that I cannot forget, but I would like to.
Oh my God, that's just unbelievable.
Okay. And my first dish when I came out, so they allowed me back in, which was amazing. They had a spot the next week, and I was really conscious that I didn't want to take anyone else's spot, so I made sure that wasn't the case. As luck would have it, they did. But my first dish when I came back was a dumpling dish, which when you've got a bandage about 4 times the size of your finger, is quite hard to do.
Oh no!
So it started off badly, but when I went out, I was just really getting into the groove. It's something that consumes your whole life because you're thinking about food, and now I do that anyway, but you're thinking about food all the time. You're reading about food, you're trying to think about the best dishes you can, so you have no sleep when you're prepping for it. But it was brilliant. It was such an opportunity. I'd always wanted to go on it, but I'd never had a reason that was good enough until I wanted to show how you could do plant-based food brilliantly. And being with the other contestants, they were really open to it. It was really great. Lots of them have got lots of plant-based stuff up their repertoire as well. So, you're seeing more and more plant-based dishes on these programs. And the more we can encourage that, the more we'll normalize plant-based eating and veganism, which is only a good thing.
I love that, Charlotte. Now, you and I have been on the Veg Fest stage together. We've been to some lovely events together, or seen each other there and had some good conversations. So you are really getting into the vegan community, aren't you? Can you expand on that a little bit more? What else are you up to within the vegan community?
I am always up for vegan events. There's something really nice about being in a community of people where you can just, I suppose, sometimes vent a bit, in all honesty, about how you feel about things, but also get recommendations from people, hear what other people are up to, hear about the things that are and aren't working, in conversations they're having with people from other activists as well. I'm also I'll turn up to anything if it encourages people to eat plant-based.
I love that.
I'm just so passionate about it. And I went to something the other day, which was just a stall in a local fair handing out plant-based food, because I'm not very good at a lot of things, but I know I'm good at cooking, and I know that I can show that plant-based food isn't just about chickpeas and lentils and boring brown food. You don't have to miss out. I'm also doing quite a lot of teaching in schools with a charity called Animal Aid.
Yeah.
So you can go and I'm teaching chefs now, young chefs, how to cook plant-based food, which is just the best thing, because you go in. The last one I went into, if I can tell a little story, a little anecdote.
No, yeah.
The last one I went into, it was 20 budding chefs at a catering college. And when I went in, I was handing out these little treats that I bought, not made. And one of the pupils said, I don't eat any vegan food. I was like, okay, great. This is starting off really well. And then pointed to a picture of the cow on the presentation and said, that's what I want to eat. I was like, okay, this is good. And I got them making lots of different things. And then one of them came up and said the cream cheese that I bought to go in the cheesecakes tasted like vomit. So on all fronts, it wasn't going well. But when they made the food and tried the food, they were going back in for thirds and fourths and fifths. And to me, that was everything, because it just shows perceptions is one thing, but if you can show the beauty of plant-based cooking, you will change people's minds.
I love that. What a challenge.
I know.
What a challenge. And you kept your cool and you just carried on.
You have to laugh, because I was like that too. I was the biggest meat eater. You can imagine, like, I used to order steaks blue. You know, there was nothing, and have raw fish, and so I really, you know, if I have come this far, and I don't mean that in a come this far in a sort of smug way, I just mean if I've traveled this distance in terms of the way I think about things, and I feel so much better for it, it's just brilliant. You know, I feel so much happier.
I love that, Charlotte. I know we could talk all day. I just wanted to find out, can you tell us a little bit about your pop-ups and your events? What else you're up to?
Yeah, so I'm trying at the moment, because I'm still a very new chef, like I'm a newbie chef. So I'm trying to spend as much time in lots of different restaurants as possible. I'm building my repertoire still, so I'm doing a few private client events, which is great. Terrifying, but great. I cooked for 60 people on my own last month, which was, yeah. I did an event. Huh?
How do you do that? I can't even keep my food warm for 3.
I don't know. I found myself asking myself that question a number of times the night before, but it was for this, which is the UK's, I think, biggest plant-based. You know, they make This Isn't Bacon and all that kind of stuff. So I built a menu around their products, which I love doing. So I'm doing private client things, I'm doing retreats, I'm doing cooking classes, I'm building my website. I haven't got any more pop-ups in the diary at the moment, because I'm just trying to batten down the hatches and nail my repertoire. I don't want to run the risk of going out and offering plant-based food that isn't absolutely top-notch, which is one of the reasons I'm going into these Michelin-starred kitchens and learning all the tricks of the trade, because I know that's the secret to changing people's minds.
I love that, Charlotte. And when you do your pop-ups, could you let me and I Go Vegan people know before anybody else? So we can... What a pleasure. Thank you for your time today, Charlotte. Thank you for joining us on Why Go Vegan.
Thank you for having me. This has been so much fun.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.